Hello, hello, hello. Oh my gosh, my hair. What's up? It's your boy Twizz. Welcome to Easy Clap episode 27. I'm by myself today. It's the solo cast. I think that's what the title will be. Our boy Soapy, he's out with an injury. He's the Easy Clap of the week. We haven't done an Easy Clap of the week in, oh gosh, it's been a few weeks. This might be a little awkward doing it by myself, but we're going to roll with it. Um, Anyways, it's coming out a little late too, but I think today we're going to talk a little bit about the Call of Duty League that event happened. We got some Smash to talk about, an Overwatch League team, maybe even some Valorant Masters. We'll see where this takes us today. I kind of feel like a radio DJ. I don't know about you listening to this, but I feel like the sweet sounds of my voice are about esports are taking us through the night, right? I gotta laugh at my own jokes because no one else is here to laugh with me. Um, Anyways, a lot of stuff happened this week. A lot of cool things to watch if you're not caught up. I kind of want to start with talking about oh my my lord, where am I at? Talking about some Smash. A big major event in Mexico happened. In fact, with the new SWT format, this was a platinum event, I believe. So it's kind of like the one of the highest majors you can go to. Um, Took place in Mexico. It was mainly Mexican and Latin American players that showed up. Um, so MKLeo is going to be there. Chag's going to be there. Spargo, Gluto, like all these players. Okay, well, Gluto is European, but you know what I mean. Meister will be there. So there's a lot of big name players there. A lot of the top, maybe 20 players. A good majority of them were there. A lot of the American players weren't there. There's a lot. It was an invitation only, so that kind of makes sense. Anyways, reason why this tournament was important. We see Spargo lose in semifinals to Gluto. This is the first time we've seen Gluto really perform to this level, which is, I mean, that's good for Gluto, I guess. He shows up on the Wario. I think he beats him. Yeah, he beats him in like the fifth game. We see MKLeo absolutely smoke Chag in his semifinals match. So that leads us to the winners final, which you see MKLeo 3-0 Gluto also. And then Spargo comes back, also 3-0's Gluto. So, he had his reign. He got third place. And then we get to see the infamous matchup between MKLeo and Spargo, which, didn't exactly go as expected. I know previously you would just assume MKLeo would win, and then as of recent, you would be like, Spargo's got this. He's got the win. Ends up losing to MKLeo in a 3-1 fashion. He wins the first game. Now, granted, you do have to get the reset when you come from losers brackets, so there's a chance. And then he absolutely just kind of shits the bed a little bit. I kind of feel like MKLeo benefited from playing Corrin this tournament. Usually he's playing Byleth or, he's hasn't played Aegis in a minute, but he's been playing Byleth. So he pulls out Corrin and is like, he even tweeted, he said, I'm pretty sure Corrin was the answer this whole time. I've kind of wasted my time and given up on Aegis, which is Pyred Mithra. So I think we might see a new and improved and reformed MKLeo, which is crazy to say. Going into this year, man, MKLeo was kind of like the LeBron James of esports, Michael Jordan. What do the sports people call it? So it's crazy to think that we could see him improve on like his already amazing game. But yeah, he absolutely smoked Spargo, which is crazy because I feel like Spargo, ever since he got that first win, he's kind of just been like extremely dominant. Doesn't show a lot of fear in his sets, especially now that he's kind of mastered Cloud, specifically against MKLeo. But yeah, man, it kind of feel like he didn't capitalize on the opportunities. And I think when he saw MKLeo playing so well on Corrin, like he lost the confidence that he had previously because he knew exactly what he's going up against Byleth or against Aegis. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Honestly, it wasn't as eventful as the other majors that involved these two. This really wasn't the best MKLeo Spargo matchup, but it is worth watching to see MKLeo pull out a new hero that we haven't seen in a minute. I know he has jumped from, Joker to Byleth to Corrin to Pyred Mithra back to, whatever. He's all over the place. This guy's goated. It doesn't really matter. But I think what I really want to talk about, the next tournament. So the next Smash tournament we're going to talk about is Genesis 8. Now this will have everybody. This isn't just going to be like a small invitational. This is the next major. There's a couple big majors coming up. We got Genesis 8, we've got Pound 2022, and Colossal. Um, Genesis being the one of the biggest prize pool. This is around, I think, 30K. Let's see. Goddamn, 30K. Notable entrants: MKLeo, Spargo, Tweak, Light, Zachary, Gluto, Debuzz, Cosmos, Elegant, Cola. So there's a lot of literally the best players in the whole world in this tournament. Now, let's talk who's going to win. Spargo's winning. Let's talk about who's getting second place now. We talk about it on this podcast a lot. MKLeo doesn't make it to the grand finals. He's not going to get second place. That is obvious because you couldn't. Okay, whatever. You know what I mean. If MKLeo faces Spargo anytime before the winners finals, I feel like MKLeo is going to get third or fourth. I feel like he could easily lose to like Tweak or Light, like in the losers bracket. I don't see him making losers bracket runs like he used to last year, or like the times that he lose to like Tweak or Samsora early on. I kind of feel like I really liked the way Light's been playing recently on his Fox. This win by Gluto to get third place, and you know he's competed against like Cola and stuff in the finals of tournaments. I don't really see it moving like against the top talent in the whole world. I feel like he really like found this niche tournament, like, well, okay, big tournament, but like niche setting in a tournament where he's only playing against characters that he can really like dominate with Wario, or at least stall long enough to win. And I feel like he doesn't get that opportunity when he goes up against people like Cola or Tweak with his Diddy Kong. Like I don't really see that. I could even see him playing against someone like Zomba and losing, just because the matchup against Rob is really strange. Anyways, Gluto maybe top 12. I think there's a lot of like smaller name people we should be paying attention to in this tournament. First off, my boy Mute Ace. If you see Mute Ace in your fucking bracket, let the boy win, all right? He's from San Antonio. I actually kind of... Let me make sure he's coming before I make this absolute bold Papega take. Oh, man. Where's my boy at? Okay, never mind. I'm not going to make the take because he's not coming to the tournament. That's very sad. I'm looking for my top Pokemon trainer player to come to this tournament. Boo. Okay. Well, then I'm going to change this take really quick. I absolutely am locking in Light and Spargo in the finals, but I've got this sneaky feeling that Cola or Chag are going to absolutely dominate some top name players. I absolutely see... Okay, Cola's gone on this really cold streak. It's sad for Cola. Not my favorite player because I hate Roy. That's just such like a crutch hero, honestly. But him and Chag, Light, maybe those are the players I think you're going to see towards the very end of this tournament. Don't ask me why with the Chag. I just feel like I saw him playing this last tournament against MKLeo and Spargo, and he actually he gets 3-0'd, but he was able to beat everyone up to that point, and maybe that gives him confidence coming into this tournament. Because you saw a lot of different heroes being played in this Mexican tournament. There's actually on the Smash World Tour Twitter account, you can actually see the most played heroes in the whole world right now. And the two heroes with the most wins currently are Sonic and Fox. Those are two heroes that won a lot of tournaments. I'd really, really, really love to see someone pull out Steve from Minecraft. That would be really sick. I saw it in the finals of a Canadian tournament recently, and you kind of swag out on people with him. That's pretty much it from Smash. This is a very like easy... I mean, there's no jokes in this podcast today because it's just me. We're getting very analytical today, and also very somber, but that's just kind of how I'm talking. Let's see. Let's talk about Call of Duty. Holy shit. We missed a banger. I really wish Soapy was here to talk about this, because was there an absolute banger of a Call of Duty tournament? Minnesota Open. Let's talk about it. First off, if you guessed the winner of this right, you deserve to have your own fucking podcast about esports, because no, you fucking didn't. You did not know who was going to win this tournament. Let's go over winners bracket round one really quick. Optic loses to Surge. Bro, what? Okay, listen. Pred popped the fuck off for this team. Pred and Mac, yo, these are some fucking players. I'm using a lot of curse words because this was incredible to watch. They dominate Optic. It's actually not even close. I feel like we got back into this maybe it's because Optic won the last tournament, but Optic has this very like choke factor. Okay, a lot of teams that are really good have the clutch factor to win, right? Optic absolutely chokes. Something about Dashy not winning for so long, I feel like it's just embedded in him, in his gameplay, that in big moments he's not gonna perform. Okay, you absolutely saw this in round one. See, game two of round one, subliners versus FaZe. Okay, the new improved subliners just cannot compete with FaZe, and that's not their fault. FaZe is pretty much the best team in the world. That's a really tough round one, especially because they made it to winners this tournament after dropping Clayster. Yeah, I don't know. Paulex actually is a god gamer when it comes to Call of Duty. This team as a whole is not very good, but the introduction of Paulex into this team was actually really smart. It sucks to see Clayster get benched because he's such a mainstay in Call of Duty, but man, Paulex brings so much to this team. Maybe it's just the fresh blood to the team that makes them feel like they're actually better than they are, kind of like a honeymoon period. But I don't know, he's outperforming the way Clayster was, or the team is outperforming. I still think there's some changes you can make to this team. Honestly, I feel like we've seen that you can find leadership in non-veteran players. So my proposition would be to get rid of Crim6, and that's a really hot take, but seeing him go into a flex role where he pulls out a sub or a Volk just feels gross because there's better players to do it. And honestly, when they had Royalty on the team, Royalty really underperformed, but I kind of feel like it was in part to do with the players that were around him. And I kind of think if you brought on Havoc like everyone thought you were going to, this team could fucking dominate. I think with the sub presence of Havoc, you could even pull up someone that is going to start competing again, like Pristini. A Havoc Pristini duo with Paulex and Hydra, that's a good team. That's very sub heavy, but you see a team like Surge be able to play with 3 main ARs. I'm pretty sure you could get away with 3 submachine gun players, especially if they start to pick up the Volk and just have one of them run the Automaton. Honestly, keep Paulex on the Automaton, Havoc and Pristini, let them sub, and 2 of them flex over to the Volk, and then just keep Hydra on hard sub. That team might be a top 3 or 4 team. That would be really sick. Although you lose a lot of money because you're dropping Crim6 also, and also your veteran leadership. Honestly, it'd have to come from someone like Pristini, but he hasn't been playing, so it kind of would have to come from Havoc, which would be strange. But honestly, he's been playing forever. He could totally do it. We see Breach 3-0 Gorillas in round one. This is important because this comes up later, but the Gorillas looked not good. They were not a good-looking team in the first round. They had to sub out Gunless for... Wow, imagine if I got this wrong and didn't say Vivid. And wow, man. It's tough to play with a sub player missing your star player in Gunless, and it absolutely showed against Breach. Honestly, I think Breach is peaking right now. I don't know. I don't know if it's methods on this team that's just that much better in shot calling, or maybe it's just TJ actually performing well for them. There's a lot of good players on this team. I just Nero. It might be their best player, but I think winning for this team is coming from the consistency of TJ and methods. So as long as they're consistently performing, this team's going to be okay, because I feel like you're going to get a lot out of Nero and Cap, just because they're young and they're new to the game, and those players have such high peaks well, they may have really low lows like we've seen like with Hydra, but like their peaks are worth keeping them on the team as long as the rest of your team is performing. So yeah, we see them 3-0 the Gorillas. They didn't get monkeyed by the Gorillas. So we'll drop down to the losers bracket really quick. We see Optic 3-1 Rocker, which, okay, what the fuck, dude? Rocker is hosting this tournament. Also, their fans are insane. Okay, like, they had fan chants against Optic, which never happens. Okay, Optic is that team like the Patriots where it, well, okay, I don't know anything about sports. Maybe the Lakers. Del, hey, in sports, the Lakers have fans everywhere, right?
Yeah, it's
okay.
kind of hard to go
Okay.
somewhere without running into a Lakers fan.
Okay, see, that's the producer talking. He fact checked me with sports. Someone's got to. Optic fans are everywhere, dude. So like, there's fan chants even in Europe for Optic, and to think that we went to Minnesota this tournament and the fans were louder for Rocker than Optic is incredible. And then they get 3-1 in the losers bracket and only got to play one match. Okay, dude. So yeah, the host city's out. Subliners lose to a really close LA Thieves, who, by the way, actually look kind of good. Like this LA Thieves team to start in the losers bracket was a shame because they have to play the Subliners, who they play close, and then they run into Optic and lose 3-2. Oh man, like there was so much more potential for this LA Thieves team than to go out in losers round 2 to Optic. It's just kind of the luck of the draw, kind of like the Subliners having to unluckily play the LA Thieves in the losers bracket, because if they drop down to the other bracket, they end up playing like Royal Ravens or Legion or Ultra, who are all teams that look like they're at their like absolute lowest right now. Let me pull up some stats for us, guys. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Call of Duty League, Minnesota. Very cool. While I pull this up, we'll move on really quickly. So the LA Gorillas kind of go on a tear through the losers bracket. They 3-1 the Toronto Ultra, who, man, this is not the Toronto Ultra of last year. Let me tell you, that team blows dick right now. Last year they had like such like firepower from like Insight and Cammy. Like this team was so good going into this year, and like, nah, dude, the EU teams, they absolutely flopped. To be fair, this team started in the losers bracket, so it's kind of like a lose and you go out. Unfortunately, that's what happens in the group stage when you don't perform. You get put in situations like this. Wow, look at me being a fucking idiot and calling him Vivid Spart. Dude, this doesn't sound right. Okay, LA Gorillas, Asim, Hook, Spart, Slasher. Okay, I don't know why I keep getting confused with Vivid. This guy Spart that they subbed in is a monster. So it wasn't his debut for the CDL, but man, he came in to fill in the role of Gunless, and this team has never looked better. Let me pull up the. Oh my god, I'm all over the place, guys. See, this is where it helps to have a co-host to be able to fill in the gaps, because I don't know what to say to fill in gaps right now while I pull up information. Let's see. Where were we? Okay. Anyways, Gorillas have to play Royal Ravens, dominate. Then they have to play Surge, dominate in a round 11 or game 5, almost round 11. Then they play the Mutineers, 3-2, very, very close. Then they play Breach again. Now, this is the team that I just praised for Nero being so good, Cap being good. As long as TJ and methods are consistent, game 5, Gorillas win. Holy shit, Gorillas in the grand finals. Other side of the bracket. Okay, Breach run into FaZe, fucking dominated 3-0. Tough. FaZe going to this grand finals kind of looked unbeatable. Simp is performing like he's Simp. Abizi is like the best submachine gun in this game right now, it feels like. I feel like where they start to like lack is Arcides, which that's incredible to say because Arcides is one of the greatest ARs to play Call of Duty at this point, like within the past like 4 or 5 years. And then Celium, well, I don't know what to say about Celium. I don't know. Okay, I've got a personal gripe against Celium. I think the guy's a nerd. He plays the game really gross too. So the way Celium plays is very like cheese and cringe based. Like this guy is holding the tightest corners, head glitches. He knows like literally every single spot in the game because he plays this game 24 hours a day, which is, I mean, that's how you win, I guess. But wow, bro, some of his gameplays are actually the most cringiest thing ever. He's like the king of snaking back in the day too. So I've got a lot of like, I don't have got a lot of respect for the way Celium plays, but he does win. So I guess there's that. Anyways, that's kind of where this team absolutely has their downfall with RCDs and Celium. And I think honestly, it comes down to not being able to flex as well as other teams do because the gameplay is good enough to win. These are great players. And like the teamwork is there. I kind of feel like it's this like not knowing when to flex into like Volks and not knowing like your team communication starts to break down with this team when they're not winning, probably because they're so used to winning all the time, 3-0ing everyone. So then when they start to play the Gorillas and they lose a map, you're like, oh shit, like it's fine. There you have to, first one to win 5 games, right? Because it's the grand finals. And then you lose 2 maps, and then you're like, oh shit, we're actually losing this grand finals to a team we shouldn't be losing to. And then I think that's where the breakdown comes with FaZe, where like they're not used to losing, let alone to a bad team. And you've got this team that's with a substitute, nothing to lose. Like they're just happy to be this tournament still. And I don't know, man. You honestly, I feel like you can't give Slasher like a break. Like if you give him like even just a little bit and he's got a good enough team, like he's going to take the entire tournament. He did the same thing when he played for Rise. That team with Looney, Methods, and Gunless, that team was unbelievable. And it came down to like this perfect coordination of like Slasher's just like such a great leader in game, and then he's got the gameplay with his players to back it up. Well, Slasher's still good. Slasher's great, but he's got absolute cracked nut job Hook on the team, who's won a world championship. And he's got Asim, who's never won, but has always been the like runner up. He's always been on teams that have been good but not great. And then, well, previously of Gunless, who's will go down as almost a GOAT. Like if there's like a Mount Rushmore of Call of Duty Gunless, is he, as long as he like keeps playing the way he does and keeps winning, like he'll be on that Mount Rushmore. And then you got Spart, this like newcomer, so much to prove. Like he got his opportunity and he absolutely took it. This was an incredible turn. This was quite literally the best like substitute, like bring in, I guess, almost debut of a player. Like no one will be like Simp's debut, but man, does this come close, honestly, for a team, like a team debut, not necessarily a player. This is the best one because you came in with like no expectations and you beat the best team in the world and you had to like go from losers round 1. Wow, might be the best losers bracket run too. The closest I can think of is like 100 Thieves doing it, which also had Slasher on the team. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is incredible. The only thing that beats like this debut, like with Simp, was when he like debuted with E United, and they immediately get like first and then second and then first. Like that team was the best team in Call of Duty ever. But Simp had so much like high expectations going into that, so it's a little different. Like Spart, no one expected him to come in and do as good as he did, which is what, I don't know. I think that's great. I mean, an absolute tippable performance by the LA Gorillas. Now going forward, does this make them the best team in the world? Absolutely fucking not. Okay, this is a honeymoon period with like you were the iciest player this weekend, but it definitely puts them like a top 5 team. But the thing is I don't know that you keep Spart in the lineup when you have Gunless, even though you won, just because he's Gunless, because you don't know if Spart's going to be able to perform constantly. I think you keep Spart in the lineup until he messes up, and as soon as he does, you put in Gunless. I think one thing you don't see in Call of Duty that you see in Overwatch is substitutions, and this would be a really like good opportunity to like mess around with subs and maybe just keep Spart in for your search and destroys, because this team is, I mean, right now has set the record for the most search and destroy wins in a row, and might be one of the best search teams ever if they keep like this streak up. So like you keep Spart in for that, and then you bring Gunless in for your hard points, maybe control, because I mean Gunless will slay, and he also like will be your top kill leader for the entire like match in total. But then you need the like S&D presence from Spart. So this would be really cool if they started messing around with subs like they do in Overwatch. They don't do it in Valorant, but they do it in League of Legends, I think. So that would be very cool. So I still think if you look at the power rankings of Call of Duty, I would still put FaZe at first. And then I think you would have to. I think there's this weird tie between right now LA's Gorillas. Honestly, Seattle Surge, Boston, and Optic are all kind of like vying for that second through fourth. I kind of think Optic absolutely flopped. I think maybe they did exactly what LA did this tournament, where they just showed up for a tournament, absolutely dominated, but then that's all they're going to do for the rest of the year. Could be it. I think honestly, you're going to see 100 Thieves come back and be, or LA Thieves come back and be really, really strong. I also think the subliners, if they make one change, will come back really strong. So a lot of Call of Duty is really weird this year. I think there's a lot of teams that can win. I don't think you see that a lot of years, and I don't see you see that in a lot of esports. So we'll play some transition music right here. Ready? And we're gonna move over to Overwatch really quick. This is gonna be a shorter podcast. I'm only at 26 minutes, and guess what? I'm already in the last topic, but I'm by myself. I don't have jokes to make. I could talk about K-pop too if we want. Let's see. Let's pull up some Overwatch League. Wow. Let me tell you, the place I'm at right now is poppin'. Oh, we're jamming. Okay, we're gonna pick. I want to pick two teams to go over for the Overwatch League. Dude, it's coming up. We're beginning of May. Overwatch League's gonna start. That's all this podcast is gonna be. We're gonna dominate the charts. All right. Um. Damn. We're gonna start on a negative note. Provide. Fuck yourself. Um. That's really strong. So previously, the London Spitfire signed a player from Maryland who, oh man, dude, from the get go, this was such a, what's the word? It's such a risky signing. We talked about on this podcast signing Provide to the London Spitfire because of his like comments previously, and I know it had been years, and most of the time you're like, yeah, they've changed, but this wasn't like going from you were 13 and made some comments and now you're here. This was you were technically an adult or 17 where you probably should know better, and you're throwing around like hard slurs and racial things, really bad stuff. Okay, bad guy gets his second shot because you know what? He performed at collegiate level. He says he's changed. His teammates say, listen, this guy's he's different now. He's not the same guy. Give him a second chance. Bro, another thing comes out about Provide. Yo, get this guy out of the Overwatch League. He hasn't even played a single map, and I don't want to see him play. I kind of was like, you know, I'll give the guy a second chance. I don't want to, but if the Lens Spitfire are willing to say that, you know, he's made improvements and he's, you know, he's worth a second shot, then they're willing to risk their brand on it, then I mean, I can't, you know, I can't say anything against that because listen, they know more than I do, and also I trust people like Cloud9 management and the people that own London Spitfire now. Okay, comes out that when he was 20 years old, all these DMs get leaked on Discord, and he's talking to some 16 or 15-year-old, and there's some weird shit he said in Discord, and they were like, basically he was dating a 15-year-old or 16-year-old when he was 20 and 21. Okay, bro, no, you can't do that. There's too much of that shit going on in the Overwatch League before. Okay, we're not gonna talk too much about them, but recently, let's see, beginning of last year, end of the year before, Mufin from the Boston Uprising had the same thing where he was dating or messing around with someone who was underage by a lot, and now you're gonna do the same shit, bro. Yo, get out of the Overwatch League. Get Provide out. Sign a different support. You know what? You've got Admiral on your team. Sign Sanguinar back. Bring Sanguinar back. That guy seemed like a nice guy. I don't know what he's up to, but give him a contract better than Provide. I don't care. I don't care if that's 2 main supports or 2 flex supports. It doesn't fucking matter. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, I'm glad that Soapy wasn't here to talk about that, because we would have talked about that for a while, even though we both have the same stance on it, because you can't be fucking dating a 15-year-old when you're 20. That's whack. Just more Overwatch League drama. I feel like at this point, there's so much shit going on with the Overwatch League personality wise that as soon as something like that happens, like, you just got to cut the player. I mean, you had all these sponsorship issues last year. Like, it's really not worth your brand's sake and the millions of dollars you invested to even let even if it comes out to be not super true or some of it was falsified, like, bro, you can't risk that. Like you cut the player, it turns out some of it was false and it doesn't look that bad. Like, listen, you had to do what you had to do. Like, you take that risk signing into the Overwatch League. Like, you should have known better. Okay, let's pick two teams. For the sake of Soapy, I'm not gonna pick the LA Gladiators. I know he'd cry if I do that because that's his team. Let's do. Ooh, that's like ASMR. We'll do the Toronto Defiant and the Vancouver Titans. That, two. I don't want to give it away yet. These 2 teams are very similar. Okay, let's start with DPS of Toronto Defiant. Hisu, Although, and Finale. Hisu and Although might be the players they're playing the most. That's really tough. Hisu is very good. So, okay, before we even get into Hisu, Toronto Defiant is just the place where players go to retire. I feel like there's some okay players on this team and there's some like absolute superstars, and I feel like there's such a huge gap between the 2 of them that this team is just not going to work. Okay, before I was going to say DPS, but let's just get straight to it. Twilight's on this team. He's the best player on this team. I think it's between him, Korong, who is their other support player. So you're just going to hope you get carried by your supports. And then you've got Hotba on tank. Now, well, actually, you know what? Hotba's your off tank. You've got Muse as your main tank. And we saw Muse shit the bed on LHG. Okay, I don't trust Muse, like, at all. But I do trust Hotba. That's like an off tank that I can trust. But at least you have a main tank and an off tank. But when your best players are your main tank and your flex support in a game where DPS is going to be kind of like the biggest part, I feel like you're setting yourself up for failure. I feel like this team probably should have invested a little bit more into their DPS, where, like, who's Hisu going to play for this team that's going to make them dominant, right? Because if I am correct, Hisu would be their Sombra player, right? Yeah. So he's like your hit scan / Sombra player, but a lot of times you're going to need both. So you're going to put that in Although and Finale, just trusting that they're going to come up from contenders and be good, which is, I mean, they weren't even, I don't think, the hot commodities of contenders, right? So Finale came from the Boston Uprising Academy, which, I mean, consistent second place team. The team they're losing to all the time is the Redbirds, which is American Tornado. So, like, I can, like, absolutely be like, that's understandable. But Finale's going to come in and he's probably going to play your Echo. So if you have a player that's not even close, like, such a versatile and important role, like your Echo or any flex DPS, like, for some reason I feel like flex DPS is so looked over, and it's also at the same time the most important DPS role, because you can have an absolute cracked hit scan player and they get countered by, like, just the dive and just the way the game plays. But if you have a really strong flex DPS, like your Echo is not necessarily going to get countered by the other DPS just because Echo's so good, but then you need a really strong Echo player, and when other teams have as good of Echo players as they do, like, I don't know. That's, to me, they got the best of what they could, but man, they really should have looked at DPS before they signed everything else. You know what I mean? The only thing I will say is that at least they have Although, because if I'm right, Although came from O2 Blast, right? Okay, so they got Although from O2 Blast. This guy, man, he's gonna be playing their Tracer. Yeah, so I don't know what you're gonna do here because I'm pretty sure Hisu has a Tracer, and I'm pretty sure Tracer is gonna be meta. And you want Hisu in your lineup because he's your like main DPS player. So then he's gonna have to flex over, and you're gonna let Finale or Although play, right? So I don't know. This team's a mess when it comes to DPS. But we can't talk about Korong and Hotba and Twilight and Muse. Muse gonna come in as your main tank. I feel like he had such a good team around him last year, and he still kind of shit the bed a little bit for them. Wait, we're talking about tanks, and I pressed on supports. What am I doing? Let's see. Man, remember when they had Sato on their team? Wow, unlucky. All right, Muse, let's talk about you real quick. Okay, Muse, not a good wrecking ball, but Muse can pull out a really mean monkey and Reinhardt, but it still just didn't feel like it was good enough a lot of the time. He played for LAG last year. They did have their win against the Chengdu Hunters in the Countdown Cup, which was the highlight of this guy's career. Which, I mean, no one expected the LAG to win that tournament, much like the LAG from Call of Duty. But nevertheless, they upgraded on tank. I mean, they kept space, but dude, Muse just doesn't feel like it. But I also don't think main tank will be meta anyways. What else we got? Let's see, let's talk about the star of this team. Twilight is a nut job. This guy is incredible. This guy's Ana is like might possibly be one of the best Anas in the whole league. And to think that he's no longer on the San Francisco Shock because, well, one, he didn't get playtime. So they've got Violet, and I feel like Violet's Ana was not good. But his Baptiste and his leadership was so good, and his Zenyatta was good, that it was worth just playing him anyways. But I don't know if anyone remembers San Francisco Shock in a double flex support meta, because wow, was Twilight and Violet super good together. Especially even when you had Violet come in on the Lucio and let Twilight play like Ana or even Moira at sometimes. Like, this guy is a very, very, very good flex support. I mean, to me, he's like the better Myeonbong, where like Myeonbong has these really like consistent, strong performances, but also can still have flashy plays and played for a bad team. But then Twilight played for a really good team in the San Francisco Shock and is also a really fucking good player. So this is like the biggest win for the Toronto Defiant. Overall, the team though, it just feels very lackluster and also like Frankenstein. Like, this team was pieced together by someone who is like, are these names popular? Then sign them. Were they good at one point? We want them on the team. That's what that team feels like, and that just does not feel like a well thought out team. We can do Vancouver Titans very fast because this team is going to get last place in NA, and it's sad because they have a player that I actually really, really like. Okay. The DPS on this team is going to win you matches. I don't think it's going to win you tournaments or get you into playoffs, but Aspire and Shockwave, bro, Shockwave is fucking incredible. Shockwave was like an absolute standout on this team, or well, previously, and then when he played for Philadelphia, didn't really get the play time, but that what could have been Shockwave and Carpe would have been so good to watch, and we didn't get to see it. And then Aspire, we all remember Aspire coming in for Toronto and literally single-handedly winning them games just because of how good he was. And it's crazy because Aspire came from NA contenders, which, okay, there hasn't been that many good players coming out of NA contenders in a long time. This guy played for Dark Mode and then American Tornado. He filled in and won. They literally won, I think, contenders last year. He was in it, and then comes in for Toronto Defiant, and they get all the way to third, fourth in the play-ins. Ooh, that's for the tournament. Tough. Never mind. That's not what I'm talking about. It is. Yeah, he comes in and they win literally off the back of his DPS. That's right. Um, wow, Aspire's really fucking good. And the fact that Toronto doesn't keep them is incredible. Toronto went for, we just talked about them anyway, so this makes sense. They went for full Korean. I forgot to mention that. So they had to get rid of Aspire, which, what a shame, because now he has to play for the Vancouver Titans, which let's just hope that this team does better than my expectations for them. But I mean, you're not even winning the DPS matchup against some teams, but they are your best part of your team. So if you're getting diffed on DPS and they're the best part of your team, I mean, good luck, right? Moving down to their tank, they've got one tank and false, and that is quite literally it. I feel like this is so risky because you're trusting false to come in and just flex onto every DPS. Luckily, flex onto every tank. Luckily, he's an off tank, but I mean, this is the player that played on American Tornado for a long time, who we know was dominant, went to Maryland and then, or Maryville, and played, he played. They didn't, I think they got like 8th place their last tournament. And I don't know, you got to do something, right? You got to take some sort of risk. If you're Vancouver, he probably wasn't that expensive to sign, also just because he wasn't a hot commodity. So that's one of those ones that, like, it doesn't matter if you're expecting him to do bad in the league, but if he does good, then you made your money, I guess. I think the only other player that you're really looking at on this team to be good is probably Masa, but that's just because of his experience in the league already. The 2 players they did sign recently from European contenders was Psycho and Skyrippa. Skyrippa's, I mean, he's the only player that I really know that much about. I'm pretty sure he played with Psycho at one point too, but Skyrippa's a main support. He played on British Hurricane for a little bit, I believe, and I mean, you can only have so much impact when you're playing main support, but yeah, he played for British Hurricane. That's right. All I know about this guy is that he's basically a Mercy one trick, but he's also like one of the best Mercies that I've seen play in contenders. So, there's that. With that said, let's rank the 2 teams. Soapy, you're just going to be agreeing with me with whatever I say here, okay, dude? Toronto is better than Vancouver. Toronto is, let me tell you who they're worse than for sure. They're definitely worse than the Houston Outlaws, and they're worse than the Paris Eternal, but they're better than the London Spitfire, and they're better than the Vancouver Titans. And I pretty much just named the bottom 2 teams because the Vancouver Titans, London Spitfire, and Florida Mayhem will be competing for the worst teams in NA, and then there'll be everyone else. Those 2 teams are just not going to be it. And that's pretty much it. Like, what I get to 43 minutes on this podcast, that's pretty good. Honestly, this might be the most boring podcast ever because I'm just sitting here talking and there's no jokes, but at least we stayed on topic. Soapy, bro, you get us backtracked, and the podcast lasts an hour and a half. So we'll, you know what? You know how we'll end this? We do have an easy clap of the week, guys. It's been a long time since we've done this. Soapydishwaters, aka Sean, aka has a dad but a broken leg, lol. You're the easy clap of the week, bitch. And I'm pretty sure that's where we're gonna end it. You can find the podcast on TikTok at EasyClapPodcast. You can find me on Twitter at Jonah _Christ, and you can find invisible co-host over here, Soapydishwaters, at Sean Thompson _ That's probably wrong, but who fucking cares, dude? Okay, well, that's pretty much it. No K-pop this time.